Hello and welcome back to Mind of Success. I'm your host, Moni, a Mexican British living in Asia. I work in fintech and build digital banks from scratch. In my years in the industry, I've realized most of us are in a vulnerable financial position. However, building a business can be a catalyst for change. So I created this podcast. It's about business stories we do not talk about. I chat with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and experts about their journeys, struggles, and lessons to extract gems of wisdom and practical tools so that we can thrive and create the impact we want. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special episode. So, this is the first episode out of many in this topic. And the topic is blockchain, crypto, NFTs, Web 3.0, and all of that. So if you are like a little bit kind of yes, Moni, but I don't understand, that's exactly why we're having these conversations today, because the truth is I don't understand either. And I am in the journey of learning and studying and educating myself. And I thought that as I was educating myself, I could use this platform that I've created, like the podcast, and use the platform to help educate all of us, because it is complex. It is new terminology that it's very confusing too. So this is the very first episode, and how it started is basically I went for dinner with my friend Viktor. I'll introduce him to you in a second. And he's like so immersed in this world, and as we were talking, I was like so confused, like so confused. So I was like, this is like amazing. Let's just do an episode together and then let's take it from there. So without further ado, I'll introduce you. So today we have Viktor Tey. He is hello. Hi, Viktor. So Viktor is a crypto community builder. He has a channel in Discord. That's a topic on its own. Like I get confused on Discord too. But anyways, he's a crypto community builder. He's a blockchain advocate, and he is involved in initiatives that are like crypto education initiatives as such. So it is perfect to have you as, it's like my honor to have you as the first guest in all of this series. So Viktor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Moni, for the warm welcome. I'm really, really happy to meet you and your audience and to be on your podcast. I think I don't usually appear on podcasts, so it's quite a rare occasion for me, but I really enjoy talking to my friends, yourself included, and especially about the topic of, crypto, and for people who are learning. I think it's an amazing journey that you can only take once in your life. And like I took that journey and it totally changed like how I see the world. And I feel like being part of that journey for someone else is so special. And just like doing the work that I do, it just makes me feel so satisfied.
Thank you. And we really appreciate it, because it is true, like the great majority of us don't understand it. So we really appreciate people like you that have gone through the journey and then take the time to simplify it for us. Because you can tell me, I've tried that. It's like, hey, I'll just Google it. There's so much in Google that it's like confusing. And I'm like, I'll start with the definitions. And I'm like, oh, it's still confusing. So really, really appreciate your time and sharing your wisdom here. So with that in mind, you said a few seconds ago that this changed your worldview as such. And that is what I want to go into today. But before we go into that, like when we were chatting, and I was saying something along the lines, yeah, it could be interesting to have an episode on current money versus digital money. And then you kind of interrupted me and you were like, no. In this world, we call it Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't even know what's the difference. I've heard the terms as such, but I don't know what's the difference. Can you expand? What's your understanding of what is Web 2.0 and what is Web 3.0? I think that's a beautiful start.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And I think that's a great place to start as well. Like, you know, a lot of people don't know what's the distinction, or maybe they think that, you know, Web3 is like a faster internet. Maybe it has like meshed Wi-Fi and things like that, 5G. And I'm gonna tell you that it's not none of that. It's nothing to do with the connection. It's nothing to do with the hardware. In fact, most of what Web 3.0 is actually the same thing as the internet. It's powered by the same thing, you know, computers around the world. And the only difference is who owns the information on those networks. So for example, in Web 2, you have companies like Google, you have companies like Facebook, Amazon, eBay, PayPal, and these are all services. These are all things that we use every day and we enjoy. Sorry, Moni?
Yes, it's like, I'll interrupt you. Probably I'll raise my hand.
Yeah.
For those who are
Go ahead.
listening, I'm like, I'm raising my hand. And so, so basically when you say Web 2, that makes reference to internet as we know it today.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
Web 2 is the world as we know it today, internet as we know it today, money as we know it today.
Yes. So it's quite funny that Web 1 is actually when we had, you know, web browsers and like websites to go to read information. But back then it acted just like a phone book. You go in and then you open the page and you consume the information and that's it. And Web 2 was about bringing the user into the picture, and so that you can post up your messages, you have your blogs, you have your message boards, you have, you know, things that are generated by the user generated content, and that's what makes Web 2. But what we've seen is that when you have all this user generated content and you give it to all these very like large companies, suddenly they start to turn that into something that's very creepy. It starts to track all your like information, it starts to track the things that you do online and tries to sell you products and services. And I mean, it's not denying that it's a huge industry, which is why like people are doing it, companies are doing it on a huge scale. But you know, how do we flip that and bring that like democratization of information back to the people who actually originate from? And then that would be the start of what we call Web3.
So, sorry, I'm a bit confused still. So what is Web3?
Web3 is basically like saying, okay, we have all these services that make Web2 great. You know, I love connecting with my friends, for example, on Instagram or WhatsApp. But what I don't love is like the fact that I could be talking to my friend about a dentist appointment on WhatsApp, and then I open up my Google, and then I get an ad for dentist near me or some braces or something like that. And so I think Web3 is about how do we provide these services without that conflict of interest of a central company who wants to provide it for free, but takes your data as payment. And so we build a network of financial services or like monetary tokenization, which is separate from the data economy.
Okay. Let's stop there. And then let's say this is your understanding of Web3 and your explanation rather than this is the official explanation for everyone listening. It's just like a perception and an opinion. So that's, I guess like that was my basic question. But then what got me like basically very curious about your mind and your mindset and your story was when you said, hey, moving from basically the current status, current type of money into digital and exploring blockchain and all this new world. Basically, you explained it to me like the other day, like even like life changing, and it was like a big mindset change. So that's what I want to understand, because like we can go into the theory and this and the other, but I want to understand what was your mindset change.
I think there's like so much to talk about, but the most primary one, I guess, is that there's only one kind of money, and that is the one that we see in our banks. And it sort of gives us the mindset that we have to follow what has been given and just expect things to be the way that it is. For example, we put our savings in the bank and we get 0.01% a year, or sometimes even less, and you get, that the same funds that you deposit in the bank are being lent out at 5 to 7% a year. But how is that fair in any way, shape, or form, right? I guess it's the way that I saw it. But only after Web3, because before that, there was no alternative, there was no other possibilities.
That's how it works. That's how the financial system works. Yeah, I hadn't even considered like, why is that unfair? I'm like, well, that's how it works.
Exactly. And that's how people grow up. I think a lot of banks also talk about like generational customers, which is like, you have your father started an account at this bank, and when you're a child, they open a savings account for you there. And so when you grow up, you expect to continue to have your home branch there, and people don't bother to change it, for generations. And this is exactly why like people have gotten used to the way interest rates are, but they would be surprised to know, for example, the rate for fixed deposits back in 1990s was in the double digits. A lot of people wouldn't know that. Yeah, in Malaysia, at some point, banks were advertising double digits in interest rates for FDs. And now it is great if you already see like 3% or even like 2%. And so I think people have gotten used to the way that things are and they have stopped questioning it. But having Web3 as an option, it gives us something like an open market, for example, of borrowers and lenders. And then suddenly, instead of getting like a 0.01% interest rate, you're getting a 3, 4, 5% interest rate just on lending it alone. And all this lending is only possible through smart contracts, which are basically code that lets people run transactions without having to trust the other party.
Okay, let me stop you there. So basically you're saying that you had a change of mindset because you started challenging how you started thinking about the financial services industry as such. And then you were like, hey, when I keep my money in a traditional bank, I get very low returns. However, there is this digital money that it's basically cryptocurrencies. And correct me if I'm wrong, or understanding incorrectly. And then when you, basically what you're saying is that you discovered that when you bought cryptocurrencies, you were also able to grow your money via instruments offered by these institutions. And then you were like, oh, I can grow my money faster. And that's what got you.
Exactly. I think, I mean, I'm 26 years old.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, are you Gen Z or are you a millennial?
Yeah, so I don't know which I fall into. I think it's millennial, but to be honest, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know where I fall like classification wise, but like a lot of 26-year-olds will relate to this, right? You get your first job out of uni at like maybe 24, 23, maybe earlier for some. Personally, I started working at 16, so I just went and got anything that was available. And like at some point, when you're thinking about like, when do I buy a house? When do I get a car? When can I live the life that I'm supposed to live, or the life that I want to live? When do I feel stable? When do I feel that I'm doing enough? And I think the moment you enter the workforce, you have a lot of expectations about like, oh, I'll work a few years and I'm sort of already getting close to my goal or making progress. But when your first paycheck arrives, reality hits you, and you realize that it's going to take at least a decade to even get to the point where you are making a dent in your retirement plan or whatever it is. And then it starts to seem very unrealistic that you're going to somehow save enough every month to realistically have a retirement plan. But of course, this is not a discouragement to those people who do save and who do work on their budgets. I think that's very important. Even myself, even though I'm working in crypto and everything and talking about how like you can get higher returns and things like that, I still had a habit of saving and tracking all my expenses since even before high school. And that habit is what made me a more, I think, financially conservative person. And by applying that even to blockchain, you can get far better. You can get much further than just coming in and then expecting to make a lot of money.
That's such a good point, because I think that's I have two concerns when it comes to blockchain and this world. One is some people who are not getting educated in this technology. I feel that currently there's a word that it's the digital divide, right? But then this digital divide, I think we will have like the current digital divide and then the new digital divide. Oh, I just lost you for a second here.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then we will have the new digital divide that is, hey, people who do not learn about the new technologies. And then it's just like different languages. So we will have that gap. So that's one. But then the other concern that I have is people who are very keen to jump into blockchain and crypto without understanding it. They just go because they hear someone like you or someone like an influencer, or, you know, like they just Google it or YouTube it or Instagram it or TikTok it. And then there are all these claims about how to make quote unquote easy money or grow your money fast. But then that I find that concerning because then people go uneducated, they go into investing, but they don't have solid financial well-being habits before entering into this new type of investment. In my eyes, it's just like a new asset class as such.
Yes. And I would say this, right, Moni, is that like blockchain is not a portal, it's not a magic portal, and it's not a place that will change you into a better person. In fact, it has every chance to do the opposite. And most of the time, you are who you are before you enter the blockchain, and when you enter, it will just make you more of what that is. And so if you're someone who's conservative, you may be able to apply that mindset in blockchain after you understand it, which will take some time after you understand it to actually thrive and prosper. But if you're someone with, a bad history of just like spending recklessly or like gambling, it will be even worse. So blockchain is not a magic portal, it's an accelerator.
Okay, I like a few words that you said, that blockchain is an accelerator, not a magic portal. That is beautiful. And we can touch that in a second. But what I like the most is that you are saying very upfront, actually, it can be damaging and it has downsides. Can you expand on that view? Because like I see it everywhere in social media and it's just like, whoop, 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 it's amazing, you're missing out. But it's not like so openly talked about, like, hey, what are the like things that you need to look after?
Exactly. I don't know what's the appetite of your audience, but I can share some personal experiences of loss.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my biggest, my lowest moment, I would say, one of many in blockchain was the day that I lost what would have been a year's salary.
What?
In one night.
What?
Yes, I lost about 36,000 overnight in a matter of hours. I went to sleep and I woke up and it was zero.
Oh my God.
Yes. So it was devastating. And I knew I had two choices. One, get out of blockchain forever. Two, figure out what I did wrong and be better at it.
Yes.
And when I say be better, I don't mean to say, be better at guessing or like get better luck or better fortune and things like that. I don't believe in that. I believe that, just as fighter pilots, for every half an hour that they fly, they spend 6 hours debriefing. So I wanted to do the same thing. Before I did anything further with blockchain, I had to sit down and take a few days and actually study and understand what I did wrong. And I did. And that was only like 1 week later, then I got the confidence and the data to move back in and to do it conservatively.
So, well, you had a major loss. So a word of caution, if you decide to invest in crypto, like this is like, I am not a financial advisor and this is just like my opinion, but it's what you find in social media as well, like kind of do not invest all your basket, all your money into crypto, but only invest it's a risky investment. So only invest that you can afford to lose. So in your case, your risk tolerance was extremely high because you went and put that money into crypto knowing that,
there is some
you might lose
context.
it. Okay.
There is some context, which is that I made that money in the 2 months prior to that.
So you made that money via investing in crypto, and then you lost it investing as well.
Yes.
So that sounds, it's like for people listening,
so this is,
that sounds like gambling.
exactly,
right?
Exactly. And this is why, like I would say, a lot of crypto people have much higher risk tolerances than regular people, just because the multiples are far higher than anything that we've seen before. Like, I think you could win the jackpot in a casino, or you make the right bet, but I don't think you would like make money in the same way that some crypto people do. And that's why like a lot of people just have the mistaken perspective as well, that just because you're in crypto you make money. No, there's no such thing. You really have to understand value and money and economics and things like that. But I feel that there are also like projects that are starting to become more user friendly, that are a bit more serious, where they don't actually, there's a lot to talk about in terms of like UI UX of like crypto websites, which I think can be another time. But I think there's a lot of differences. There are some that are just like purely from the UI UX, it's a casino, and somewhere it's like it's very boring, it's very serious, and that they're sort of doing something different.
So coming back to you and your experience, what mistakes did you make when you lost this money, looking back?
So number one, I would say don't trade on your phone, because you will be open to impulse trading. And that is to say, like, you see something on your phone, someone tweets, oh, hey, this thing is going up, or this thing is going down. And then you will quickly log in and then like start to do things like at the moment, and then you will forget about life. At some point, you're just sitting there with like 2-3 devices and you're just watching all the markets at the same time. And then you forget that you're also a human being. Why are you trying to make this money? It's because you want to live a better life, right? So always keep that in perspective, write down in terms of goals, what you actually want to achieve, because we can always make more money. And when you're making money in crypto, the temptation is always to go further. But you should always keep in mind, what am I actually trying to achieve? And if you achieve that, just get out. You may never need to see crypto again. And I'm not talking about trading either. In fact, like I think the biggest thing about crypto that's misunderstood is that you have to buy something to get in. But I made my first 6 digits just by working, just by sweat.
So yes, can you repeat that again? So like you said, it's like most of us, we understand that to get started into crypto, you need to open a wallet and then put fiat, that it's the currency as we know it, let's say dollars or pounds or euros or Malaysian ringgit or Mexican pesos. Like you need to transfer those into the crypto wallet, and then you need to buy a currency, and that's how you get started. But and basically you take your money, like your savings, and then you invest them into this crypto. But then what you're saying is that you did it a different way, and you kind of worked for it. And when you say worked for it, that doesn't mean you had a day job and then you worked for it and then invested it. You mean something different. What do you mean?
So I don't know how much of your audience are gamers or like in part of online communities and things like that. But when you're in, let's say, a gaming community, there's a lot of things that you do just kind of for free. You make artwork, you write content about the game, strategies, how to beat the game, how to play this character, and things like that. And people love that. And it's like a pretty huge industry by itself. But nobody pays these people to do it. They do it out of passion, out of the love for the game that they're playing.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And you have a whole part of the internet that's dedicated to like what do you call it? Fan sites, just kind of like, maybe it's Korean boy bands, maybe it's like a certain fiction, maybe it's Harry Potter fans, whatever. Like these take up a lot of the space in the internet and a lot of the time and attention of people because it's something that they just love doing and they would do it for free. Passion, exactly. And so when I was going into crypto, at first I was very cautious because I was just like, okay, this is all, to me, crypto is just like at the point of in time, it's like a lot of computers and just people behind the computers, and everyone's like, all the monitors and just doing trades at a high frequency, and then you can never be faster than those people, so you will always lose money. That was how I thought of it. But when I actually got in there and I started to join these like discords, discord is very important in crypto, but joining these discord communities and like talking to people and seeing what they do and asking a lot of questions, I started to realize that this is a lot closer to gaming communities. And I had been trading stocks before when I was in 2017. I was trading on the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange, and there were trading forums as well, for investors. And I went there and I started asking questions, and all I get was just people who made fun of me and like tell stupid stuff and trying to like pump something. They're like, oh, buy gloves, sell airlines, this and that. And I was not getting anything helpful or useful out of it. But when I was in crypto, or like at least in those communities that I was in, I started to realize that a lot of people are here to hang out and they're here to be a part of something. And so in a sense, like having this coin or whatever for people to kind of put their money into and then all join this group to say like, oh, hey, we're all buyers of this coin.
Identity.
Suddenly you have that identity, exactly.
That belonging.
And I think one of the NFT projects that has gotten a lot of traction this year and last year is called Bored Apes, BAYC. A lot of famous people have started buying it. But I remember that project back when it was only one of the 10 projects on Ethereum that was like NFTs. And I had a friend who had a Bored Apes and he sold it later on and he regrets selling it every day.
Of course.
Every day he regrets. But when he was in that community, he would tell me about how they did things. They put money together to send to like ape shelters around the world and to save orangutans because that was what they're passionate about. And then they even had someone who was a flight instructor in Hawaii, and he said, for anyone who has this NFT, I will take you on my plane and give you an aerial tour of the island for free. And that was just like how they started this community. Someone made t-shirts, they designed it, they sent it to all the members and things like that. Yes.
So I have a question. Now that you mentioned Discord, like for anyone who has heard or have not heard of Discord, Discord is an app, let's say you think of Facebook or Telegram or, like any of the social media apps. Discord is like a social media app, let's say, that it's mainly used for, I find like tech geeky projects or so, but it's very, in my opinion, it's very complex to use. I'm part of 2 groups and I don't follow much. So, but what you're saying is that Discord is the go-to platform to find these communities.
We like to say that it's Slack for friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Discord is like a platform for friends. Huh?
It was for friends. I think I still have some servers where it's just me and a few friends who know each other in real life. But crypto has really accelerated it into something that is what it is today. And Discord is very aware of that. I think that like probably a large chunk of their customers are just like these crypto communities. And they work very well within that framework.
Awesome. Okay, I'm conscious that we've covered a lot and we've gone back to so many different topics.
Yes, I know our scope is so wide, but I'm happy to answer anything.
These episodes, I want to keep them short because exactly that, it is a lot of content to think about. So let's keep this as the last question. What could be your final remarks for someone let's say my age or someone my father's age, like we're not 25 years old. Like that's what I mean. Like we're not 25, we're not 26. Like what piece of advice would you tell the older millennials or the older generation when it comes to getting started in understanding blockchain and the implications of blockchain?
Okay. So I feel that that for the people, even not just of that age, but for anyone who doesn't have a technical background or like economics interest to like really dig into light papers and things like that are very heavy and very academic, I'll just say one thing: read the people who are leading the projects, the people who work in the projects. Read the way they interact with you and the way they speak. Are they full of ego? Are they thinking about really serving the community and the cause that they say they're serving? Because I think it's a huge indicator in the blockchain space, especially since like many people here choose to be pseudonymous, so they use like a pseudonym instead of actually like their real world identities. So it's no longer about who you are, where you come from, what company you worked at. It's about what you do. And so like I think that's very important in Web3 or even Web2. It's just that people are starting to notice it a lot more when you can't put your face or you can't put your name, or people can't tell that you're white, black, Chinese, or like anything at all. They can't tell except your profile picture and your name and what you say and do. So I think that becomes a lot more important, and that should be what you watch out for if you ever try to get into any of these communities, and if you're even thinking about investing. uh, Trust your gut. If someone gives you a bad feeling, yeah, no,
Just like in
don't
real
go
life.
further.
Exactly.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
thank you so much, Victor. This has been an amazing conversation. I personally have to go and listen to it and be like, okay, cool. I need to get clear what is the definition of Web3 and basically get to understand how to use Discord properly, and absorb all this knowledge. I don't have any pressure to get like to be a master in all these, but I think it is important for me and
Absolutely.
for people in my communities, whether I'm more of an offline community type of person, like friends community, and slowly growing the podcast community, but it's more of I think it's important for us to understand whether we decide to then get into or not. That's a different story, but I think it's super important to understand. So thank you very much for your insights, because this is not something that we can just Google and find this type of information so easily. Thank you so much for sharing your story, the loss, like the stories of loss of money, because those are important too. And thanks so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me, and
Thank you.
really appreciate it, Moni.
No, thank you. And everyone, please do listen and send us your questions. If I don't know how to answer them, I'll ensure that either we find someone else or just send them directly to Victor. Victor, where can we find you?
I don't know. I'm not very active on Web2 anymore.
You're not active in Web2 anymore, so where can
No.
we find you in Web3?
I don't know how to answer that either. I guess if I'm on Monica's show again, I'll come up with an answer for that.
Amazing. So if you have questions for Victor, pass them my way.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
then I'll do the interchange. I love that, Victor. It's like you're the first person that it's like, where can you find me? And you're like, no, I don't have a public profile. I'm just Monica's friend. That is amazing.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Awesome. Everyone, have an amazing rest of your day and see you next week. Ciao, ciao.